ready for one amazing sports talk radio show from one of the nicest guys in radio today. He's the Sean Hannity of sports. It's time for Rockin' Sports and Entertainment, the Bay Area's most listened to sports talk radio show. Now, your host, Rick Sassone.
It's free agency. Oh, how it's changed the landscape of professional sports. We'll talk about the NFL free agency, in particular our Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow, I think that's the first time you've ever said our Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Whoa.
Wow, free agency and the signing or the getting of Lovie Smith as head coach has flipped Rick's script.
No, well, a little bit. Not really. This is the last gasp. And I'll talk about that a little bit, so I'm glad you brought that up. As always with me, not as always, but most of the time, that was Travis Faley, executive producer.
Yes, it was. And let's talk about the show opening a little bit. When did you become the nicest guy in sports?
Nicest guy in radio.
Nicest guy in radio. I got to debate that.
That's
that
what
little statement.
The PR image company told me to go with, so I'm going with it. They believe it. I believe it.
Every week we come in the studio, you smack me in the face before we get started. I'd have to debate that whole nice guy issue.
Yeah. Keep that between us. Okay, so there's free agency. Wow, incredible. And we're going to talk about the playoff push on Channel Side Drive. Also want to talk a little bit about the Rays, something I see that I like in the Rays early. I know it's spring training. It's early in spring training. Wins and losses don't count. But I like the way they're hitting the ball, and we'll elaborate on that a little later in the show. The Rocket Report is, may I ask a question? Is Ryan Braun one of the best players in MLB? Well, he certainly thinks so. We'll talk about that.
Definitely one of the biggest jackasses in all of professional sports. But we want to know what you have to say about the Bucs free agent moves. 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010.
And also in the Rocket Report, there's a local high school recruiting scandal that has implications with Rocket Sports and Entertainment Network. Not that we're part of it, but it kind of affects us a little bit. I'll get into that. I'll tell you why. I was thinking about that with this particular school. And guess what? I'm going to throw those phone numbers out again. Write it down. 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010. Give us a call because I have a couple giveaways today. I have tickets, 4 of them, to, what is that, Travis? You know what this is.
That's the Festival of Speed, which is a fantastic event down in St. Pete over in the park. It's outstanding.
And I have a $25 gift certificate, Rookie Sports Bar. 2 locations in Spring Hill, Rookie Sports Bar, so we'll bring that up. So give us a call.
Is that Rookies or Wookiees?
Wookiees. The allergies are kicking a little today. So Rookies Sports Bar. So that's what we got coming right up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Florida Hospital North Pinellas reminds listeners the average shelf life of blood is only 42 days. There must be a steady flow of blood donations to meet the continuing needs of accident victims, surgery patients, sick children, and the military. There is no substitute for blood. A shortage at any time could mean unnecessary loss of life. Help save a life. Donate today. This reminder from community leader Florida Hospital North Pinellas. For more information, call 727-942-5000. On the air because they care.
Whether it's a case of simple heartburn or a more serious problem like heart attack or stroke, you want expert emergency care fast. With our network of 5 hospitals, Florida Hospital provides the care you need just when you need it most. From Hillsborough to Pasco to Pinellas and beyond, our powerful combination of medical excellence and genuine compassion is raising the bar for emergency care in Tampa Bay. Visit ertampabay.com to learn more. Florida Hospital, the skill to heal, the spirit to care.
Get inside Rookies for awesome wings, burgers, sandwiches, and Boom Boom Shrimp. Rookies has great legs. Every Monday, Rookies has all-you-can-eat crab legs for $25.95. Catch the games on plasma TVs and jumbo screens with speakers at each table. Free Wi-Fi, arcade for the kids, and karaoke Fridays. And now, every Monday, Rookies has all-you-can-eat crab legs for $25.95. Like them on Facebook to see what live bands are playing this weekend at Rookies Sports Bar and Grill. 2 locations on Anderson Snow Road just off Spring Hill Drive. And now on US 19 in Spring Hill across from Best Buy.
Portions of Rocket Sports and Entertainment are brought to you by Michael Kouskudas. Michael Kouskudas is an attorney board certified in elder law. Michael Kouskudas has been a member of the Florida Bar since 1991. Practice areas include elder law, probate, real estate, and corporate law. Offices in Tarpon Springs, Newport Richey, and Spring Hill. The main office is located in Tarpon Springs at 623 East Tarpon Avenue. For a free elder law, estate planning, and probate consultation, call 727-942-3631 for your free consultation today. You're listening to Rocket Sports and Entertainment, the Bay Area's most listened to sports radio show. Now your host, Rick Sassone.
You're listening to Rocket Sports and Entertainment Network on CBS 1010 AM Tampa Bay and the Tan Talk Radio Network. Rick Sassone here with Travis Faley. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now, Travis, let's get into this free agency talk. You want to talk about that first?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's like Christmas time for the NFL fans out there. And I heard something this morning that absolutely took me aback. But, you know, with free agency, you're going to get surprised. And this morning was, you know, Mel Kiper came out and said that the Green Bay Packers signed Julius Peppers to a 3-year deal. So Green Bay Packer fans out there have got to be excited about that move to help shore up some of the defensive line issues that they've had and get a lot more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And trust me, Jay Cutler, I believe, is having nightmares this morning.
Speaking of opposing quarterbacks getting pressure, how about Justin Tuck going to the Raiders?
Yeah, that's an end of his career type money grab.
You don't think it is for Peppers?
What's that?
You don't think it's the end of the year, end of the career grab for Peppers as well?
Well, sure, but I mean, you're looking at a legitimate contender with the Green Bay Packers year in and year out.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, when you go, players go to Oakland to die because they're not doing anything other than losing 6 games in that division to Kansas City, Denver, and San Diego, because those 3 teams have all added considerably. And like I said, huge money grab for at the end of the career to go to the Raiders. Come on, man. Seriously? Justin Tuck, you couldn't go to somewhere that might compete this year?
Now, the Bucs free agent signings, is this kind of a slap in the... I wanted to ask you this and ask the callers, and I'm going to throw out the phone lines again because I got some giveaways, some good things. 888-404-1010, 888-404-1010. The Bucs, is this a slap in the face to the previous management group? You signed Dietrich Smith and Anthony Collins, and you released Donald Penn. Is that saying... you guys didn't know what you were doing, and personnel-wise, we're bringing it. I mean, I thought the offensive line was the coming of all. Remember when they signed him?
Right.
Oh, we got Donald Penn, we got Carl Nix, we got this guy. The Bucs offensive line is going to be the best in the National Football League. People were telling me.
Well, if you look at the signings over the last week that this Buccaneer team has done, it's amazing the turnaround. This team on paper, and you know, you don't win games on paper, obviously the old cliche. But this team has an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs next year. You look at them against Atlanta. They're better than Atlanta on paper now, except for maybe the quarterback position. They're not as good as New Orleans. So you can see 2 teams. I think Carolina takes a step back. They've lost some considerable players in free agency, and I think the Bucs move up. You know, you always have those teams that flip the script from the season of being a 4-12 team to possibly winning 9 or 10 games this year. And it's all going to start and stop with the quarterback position. And they do need to go out and get another wide receiver because you don't know if Mike Williams is actually going to be on this club at the beginning of the year.
So do you pony up and draft Sammy Watkins?
If he's available, you take him. You have to at this point, Rick, and then go and possibly get a quarterback, you know, in rounds 2 or 3 just to solidify. But as it stands right now, you have Glennon, who played well as a rookie. A lot of people are really down on Mike Glennon. And for what the kid did, granted they only won 4 games last year, but his numbers were pretty damn good for a rookie quarterback. But when you start putting him up against, Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson. People have way too many expectations for rookie quarterbacks. You got to remember, Rick, you know how it is with, Troy Aikman. He was 1-15 his rookie year.
I saw Glennon actually yesterday, and I got a chance to speak with him briefly about that. And he doesn't seem too scathed by the new hire there. So I have a feeling there's some smoke and screen works here, some trickery going on with what the quarterback position is going to be. I think it's going to be Glennon.
You think it's going to be Glennon, really?
Well, I think it has to be, unless they bring in a free agent. They're not going to draft a rookie starter. I mean, how many rookies do you think are ready to play coming out? I don't think Bridgewater or Manziel are there. The only one I like Bortles. I like Bortles.
I don't think Bortles gets to 7. I don't think Bortles gets to 7.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so,
I really don't.
Well, do you think that Manziel or Bridgewater are there?
I think maybe all 3 are gone by that time.
So what's your other option?
Khalil Mack.
Play Glennon.
No, you McCown.
To play quarterback?
No, just take him at 7.
No, they're saying Khalil Mack might go 1 to Houston at this point. But, everything's speculation. But I think McCown is your first game starter, and then Glennon's able to learn under McCown. He's a perfect teacher moving forward to show how a professional quarterback has to be in the NFL. And I tell you, McCown played well last year, but he's a stopgap, okay? I have a lot to say about McCown. We have a phone call. We have a caller on the line. Let's go quick to Chris. I'm sure he's got plenty to say about what's going on in free agency with the Bucs, and I'm excited for this team.
Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, I got you're the first caller in today. I have Festivals of Speed tickets or Rookies gift certificate.
I'll tell you what, you save that for other callers that call in,
Chris, you're still taking the time to call and come on the show, so.
He pays me.
Guys,
that never mind. Since you pay Travis,
every call, it depends. He pays me by the minute that we leave him on the radio. So.
You know what? I think he is the starter game 1. And Rick, here's what he gives you. Let me take a step back. So last year when they drafted Mike Glennon, I was saying, to use a college football term, Mike Glennon needs a red shirt. Mike Glennon's a guy that needs to come into a program, grow into his body, learn a system. He certainly has the arm strength. He has the tight spiral. He can make the throws, but he needed to develop. He had no business starting 13 games as a rookie. So I think what all these moves do, first of all, it addresses the absolute dearth of talent that was on this roster. So, yeah, Donald, gentlemen, I don't know if you remember last week, and maybe it was a thin air speaking, but I think I was a bit prescient when I said, expect the offensive line to have some considerable changes. And not, within even 2 hours of making that comment, they released Davin Joseph. And within 3 days of that, they released Donald Penn. And those are 2 guys that were not playing well. Donald Penn hadn't been playing well in 2 years. And I had stated that, Davin Joseph, really, if we're being honest with ourselves, had 1 dominant year and maybe 2 good years. So there was a lot of money tied up in those 2 guys, and they just weren't playing well. So what the Bucs did, they got blue collar this week. They got some younger, they got cheaper, right? They got more flexibility, and they went out and they dressed the talent on the roster, added some key depth, and most importantly, with only 5 draft picks in this draft, they gave themselves flexibility at number 7 to pick the best available or trade down with a willing partner.
No, I agree with that 100%. And going out and get, center guard Evan Dietrich Smith yesterday and going out and getting Collins. I don't know how many people actually know how good of a player this Evan Dietrich Smith guy is from the Packers. He is an outstanding offensive lineman, and this team has gotten considerably better, even with the release of Darrelle Revis, which I think was a good move by the Bucs. And granted, it's a wash now. Okay, you look at you move forward and you consider this a whole different organization. All right, the Glazers made a move with Schiano and with Dominic, and that's all gone now. So they move forward in an unbelievably positive manner. And, we didn't know what kind of influence Lovie Smith was going to have on free agents. Well, obviously you can see what kind of influence he's had, because most of the guys that were signed said that Lovie Smith was a reason for coming here. And
sure.
you gotta give props to the Glazers for making that move to go out and get Lovie Smith.
Sure, and guys, a lot of people are saying, look, it's been proven before that throwing money at free agency doesn't work. Look at the Washington Redskins. But this is not that same feel. This is not that same mode. These aren't monster contracts. Really, the only one that got the big contract was Michael Johnson. Everybody else, look, McCown is a 2-year deal. McCown is yes, he has been a journeyman, but he has 38 starts in the NFL. He has shown last year to play well, and it's that bridge, right? It's that flexibility. It gives you that flexibility. They couldn't go into this season with Mike Glennon as the only option. I like Mike Glennon. Don't get me wrong, but my God, if he didn't just curl up in a ball in the fourth quarter, and look, that just speaks to youth. And Travis, we've had conversations in the past about this. Everyone's gotten spoiled with these rookie quarterbacks coming in, i.e. Russell Wilson, i.e. Andrew Luck. It's not really what we should expect for rookie quarterbacks to step in and play that well and dominate. So I think this organization needs to go back to the old days of bringing somebody in and letting them develop. So I think what you're going to see at number 7, man, look, it could be potluck, right? And it could be potluck now because of these signings, because of they addressed these depth concerns. They got better on the offensive line, gentlemen, and they've got some running backs coming back next year that give them a ton of flexibility, that give them a ton of playmaking ability to kind of go back to that play action pass and stretching the field. And Rick, here's a quarterback I think we should keep an eye on, Jeff Tedford and the Carr family. I think you keep an eye on Derek Carr. That guy is I watched him play quite a bit. He's got a big arm, and there certainly is a relationship there with the Carr family and Jeff Tedford.
Okay, that's interesting. You like it better than David? I mean, David was highly more hyped, obviously, than Derek, but
I think David actually has made it a little more tough for his brother because his name is somewhat. It's kind of a bad word, right?
Well, there's four letters in Carr, and there's 4 letters in bust. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, look, the competition level in the Mountain West, I get that, but if you watch the guy play, he's got a big arm, man. He controlled the offense, and he made some big throws. I think he's one of those quarterbacks that are maybe flying a little under the radar. Although I've seen recent mocks that had him climbing into the back half of the first round.
Wow, back half of the first round. Okay.
Well, that's interesting. Chris, I as a season ticket holder, I know you got some your package in from the Buccaneers. Have you seen a rise in season ticket prices?
No, they're staying the same. They're staying the same. Look, as a season ticket holder, I'm stoked. As a fan, I'm stoked. They've been spending money the last few years. And Rick, again, let's go back a few weeks or a few months in our previous discussions. The criticism of Mark Dominik was this. You show your mettle as a GM, and not by being given an open checkbook and say, okay, go out and get the top 3, top 5 guys at your position. Vincent Jackson's, Carl Nicks, Deshaun Goldson. Go out and pay these guys a lot of money. I think when you earn your medal as a GM, and we talked about it last week somewhat with Stevie Eiserman, is a core of players that are that's gonna win, that fits your system, and keeping that core together. What Mark Dominik failed miserably at was mid-round and late-round drafting and mid-tier depth backups. He failed miserably at that. Look, the 09 draft, not one player is on this roster. Not one player is on this roster. You can't have that. And Rick, you had said, is this a shot at the previous front office? It's not. What was a shot at the previous front office? Is when they all got terminated, when they all got fired. That was their cue that they didn't do their job correctly. And again, as it stands right now, I really like what this front office has done. And again, we got some flexibility going into the draft with these with these 5 picks.
Okay, let me share this. I'm going to turn it back, and it wouldn't be a show if I didn't bring up the ownership group. And at what point, I'm going to say it right now, if this whole thing implodes and this team goes nowhere in the next few years, at what point do you turn it around and make the ownership group accountable as fans, stop throwing your good money into their pockets? Because let me tell you something. Where this whole thing went down, is the whole Rich McKay, Bruce Allen. I still don't know how that happened because they had Rich McKay. They came off a Super Bowl victory. They apparently gave power, and this is where I tell weak ownership hurts your franchise. And if you're a season ticket holder and you spend money, you're giving them dollars to put a good product on the field. How the hell do you go from winning the Super Bowl, giving all that power to Gruden, and apparently Rich McKay gets bumped out of town, and all of a sudden Bruce Allen's the general manager? Things have never been the same. Bruce Allen has one thing on his resume. It says, I'm George's son. I don't know. I still don't know how that dynamic happened. That you put on ownership, that happened. And now I'll give Lovie Smith and Litt, I call him Light. Maybe they'll see the light. Hey.
Oh, man.
And look, I won't completely disparage Rich McKay. Who knows, right? But that's water under the bridge. But, for all that Rich McKay did well, he drafted Rito Anthony. He drafted Jacquez Green. He and Tony Dungy were never truly on the same page.
It was just to sell a bunch of tickets to Gators fans.
Well, look, and it
worked.
It was a great move at the time. It was only Gators fans, and that's a good point, Rick. That was genius, right? It was Warren Sapp. It was Derek Brooks. It was the Gator connection. They sold the local teams, and that was a great sell, right? And you had some, you felt connected to the team because these were ties that the area had to the college football programs. Oh, and on top of that, there were tremendous players, and Sapp and Brooks, and validated by the yellow jackets they're both wearing or soon to be wearing. But that's water under the bridge. And we talked about this before. These guys operate like CEOs of an organization. They hire management, and yes, they made some poor decisions the last two coaching hires, or Mark Dominic made some poor decisions in coaching hires. I mean, goodness, how do you go from John Gruden to Raheem Morris to Greg Schiano? I mean, wow.
In a Super Bowl trophy to not making the playoffs.
Right.
Being the doormats of the league, 4-12.
Crap and crappier. Look, and for all the criticisms of Lovie Smith, and I've said this, I'll say it time and time again, he brings legitimacy. And if you hear the interviews of the guys that signed with this team, they're all saying, once I met Lovie Smith, I was sold. And I think that's what he brings to the table. He's a legitimate head coach. He's a respected head coach. Leslie Frazier, for his failures as a head coach, he's a tremendous, respectable coordinator, and that's what he's going to be. And then look, the wild card here is Jeff Tedford, right? He's never done it in the pro game, but he is one of the most well-respected coaches at any level in the country. So, look, they're making some interesting moves, guys. And at least we have some hope that it seems like someone knows what they're doing in the front office right now.
Okay, Chris, one more thing, and then we're going to let you run. You're a season ticket holder, so you're a customer. How long before this team should be in the playoffs?
I think this year, I think the McCown thing, for as much as it's being criticized, I think he gives you a shot. Then let's just say this. I think he gives you a shot to play meaningful games in December. And look, we haven't had that in years. So let's not get too greedy. Let's have meaningful games in December and see how it shakes out. But I will say let's play meaningful games this December, and you got to give them a year. But what all these signings have shown you is people are all rebuilding. Mr. Snarky writer, Martin Fennerly, they're rebuilding. Hey, Martin, you don't rebuild by signing 8 free agents. They're trying to win right now. They're trying to address the dearth of talent on this roster. So let's just say, let's play meaningful games in December. And in year 2, there better be a serious push for it.
Okay, we're right back. Hate to burst your bubble. We're right back where we were when they signed Revis last year. And I laughed my ass off. Everybody was excited. They had him run out of the tunnel. He was the #1 draft pick. They put his banner up on. You won 4 games last year. I don't care if you. I don't care if
Revis wasn't the issue. Revis gave up 400 yards and 1 touchdown.
It doesn't matter.
It's a different organization
Travis,
now.
You won 4 games. I don't care if you had the Pope, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela on your team, running your team, and the divine intervention. You won. Your roster won you 4 games. I don't care.
The
Bottom line,
totally
the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl.
The roster is totally different now, Rick. Look at the spots. They had quality players. They had Gerald McCoy.
That's what I'm asking you.
Now they've added some big key players, and I love what this team looks like, especially the way Lovie Smith is going to run that defense. Now, is the cover too antiquated? Yes, against quality opponents and quality quarterbacks that you're going to see, in the NFC South. You're going to see Drew Brees, and you're going to see Matt Ryan and Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, the book is still out, even though he had a great year last year. But you're going to see quality quarterbacks that will know how to beat that cover 2 and whatever other kind of options that he's going to run. But a couple years, my point is this. Is Lovie Smith's defense antiquated and basically obsolete? We're going to see that in full spectrum this season and next year because he has the players now to run that system.
Right.
And I like the players that he has now better than some of the years that he had with the Bears. And you know what they did? They were in the top 5 in defenses year in and year out, and they struggled offensively because they had their head up their butts when they went after offensive coordinators. And Tedford is going to play a huge role to see how far this team actually goes within the next 2 years.
As a note, real quick, Chris, as a note, that cover 2, the beauty of the cover 2 is it's more of a bend, don't break type defense.
Yeah.
The situation here is we're not looking to keep them from getting 400 yards. What we're looking for is that ball hawking opportunity, the interception opportunity where they're going to throw down the field and make a mistake. They might not make a mistake 10 times down the field till they get to the 10-yard line, but that cover 2 gives you that opportunity for the ball hawk to come in and get the interception or steal the fumble out of the back.
And Justin, great point. Minimize damage, right? So like last year. And first of all, Rick, that's last year. Yes. Look. For whatever for whatever reason you begrudge Darrelle Revis, he played ball even at 85%. But that's why they were all fired, man. That's why they were all told to pound sand and beat it. But Justin, you're absolutely right. So that defense just mitigates, right? It minimizes damage. You don't have to blitz every flipping down. You just don't have to. And what they did, to Travis's point, with the quarterbacks in the NFC South, you go out and get a Michael Johnson. And yes, you only had 3.5 sacks last year, but he led the league in tackles for loss and passes batted down. So it's getting in the quarterback's face, making them feel uncomfortable, setting that front four, pressuring that front four, and making these quarterbacks go through their progressions. Drew Brees has no problem doing that, but Drew Brees isn't the only quarterback in this division. So,
and they've lost some players, though, Chris. And you look at New Orleans, they've lost some considerable players, losing Darren Sproles and Lance Moore. Lance Moore is an outstanding third wide receiver. And that's another point in regard to the Bucs. I can see them going out and getting James Jones, the third wide receiver from the Packers. And that would make this offense a lot more considerable to think about. If you got, I don't know what the situation with Mike Williams, how that's going to play out, but you go out and you get a James Jones, that opens up the field. You still have, quality running backs on this team. I think you can only look at what they've done in the offseason in a positive manner because, you got a lot of Buck fans that are just piss poor, pessimistic fans.
And I'll leave you with this. Okay, so let's say at 7, right? Let's say they keep Mike Williams. You got Vincent Jackson, and at 7 you go out and get Sammy Watkins and put him in the slot. And then you still have Doug Martin, and you brought in that tight end, and you've got Tim Wright. Man, now all of a sudden this offense looks pretty damn explosive. And,
will they play together as a team? That's the thing. That's the $100 million question.
Look, I understand if you were sitting here today and they didn't do anything in free agency, and we're scratching our heads saying, goodness gracious, guys. Why haven't we addressed the roster? Look, they've gone out. They haven't spent a lot of money. The guaranteed money of Anthony Collins, I believe, is $12 million. McCown is $5 million. There's not much guaranteed money tied up in any of these players except for Michael Johnson. But they've addressed crucial needs at depth, players that were aging, players that were sucking a lot of money off the cap.
Are gone.
Look, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It stinks. Yes, we're year one again of another regime, but it is what it is. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt as a fan, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt as a football fan of the NFL.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get back to Buck Talk, but we got to go to the phone lines. We got Chuck Green on the line.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Chuck, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, Ricky Rocket, how are you this morning?
Hey, I'm great. The allergy is catching up with me a little bit, but I'm swinging the bat. Hey, listen, where'd you go last night?
Oh, man, Buccaneers. Come on, folks. We got one of the most exciting forms of football right here in our backyard, and it's the Tampa Bay Storm, people. What an exciting game. I was there with Rocket Sports last night. you could feel the electricity in the air, Rick. It's just an amazing form of football. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, high-scoring, and this year the Storm probably looked better than they've looked in the past 5 seasons. These guys are ready to play. Coach Samuel, he's pleased with the team. Randy Hippert, our quarterback last week, he threw for like 6 touchdowns, 288 yards.
And that's on a 50-yard field. That's pretty strong there, Chuck.
Yeah, oh, it is, absolutely. The star of the show last night, though, had to be Michael Lindsay. You hear about guys playing both ways. This guy plays 3 ways. He was offense, defense, and special teams. He ran back kicks. I think the worst return he had was something like 20 yards. And arena ball, that's like half the field, folks. I mean, exciting. He had a receiving touchdown. He intercepted a ball. He recovered a fumble that he ran back for a touchdown. I mean, this is probably one of the most affordable tickets that you'll be able to get in any form of professional sports. There was a near capacity crowd last night, but folks, come on, get out there, enjoy the game. I don't know what else to say about it, Rick. It's just really exciting. And I'm real happy to be representing Rocket Sports there.
No, we're really, really excited and happy to have you, Chuck, and you're going to have some awesome photos. I know that. And, really excited. I saw the press releases come in with the post-game notes last night, and I was thinking about you. I knew you were wrapping things up out there at downtown on Channelside.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. They travel to Texas to play San Antonio this coming weekend, and then they're back in town on the 29th to play the dreaded Predators from Orlando.
Oh, the war on I-4.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the team is ready for them. There are tickets available for that game. All you got to do is go to TampaBayStorm.com, and you can find more information and ticket prices. And but I'm telling you, Rick, the Bucks, I can't say anything really bad about the Bucks. They're our home team. But, folks, you need to get out there. And I think if you go to one arena game, you'll be hooked.
And it's really, as you mentioned, inexpensive to go. Great value, and I've been to a few games and probably going to get to some this year as schedule permits. But, Chuck, thanks for checking in with us, and really appreciate you being part of the Rocket Sports and Entertainment Network team.
All right, Rick, I do too. I'm looking forward to next week, and I'm also looking forward to that Festival of Speed. That's a pretty cool.
Oh, you're going to be shooting all kinds of photographs there.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'm not even going to show Travis what I'm going to use either. I'm not even going to let him look at my lens.
Oh, he'll get jealous.
Wow, that's I don't know how to take that right now, Chuck. I really don't.
Travis likes a big lens.
Ouch, quit it. Boom, shakalaka.
All right, Chuck, be good. Have a good rest of the weekend.
All right, guys, talk to you later.
Hey, I want to go see that arena team that Kiss owns.
Yeah,
did you see those unis? Those unis are fantastic.
Hey, speaking of, I don't know what segue this has. I don't even have one. Rob is on the line. Rob, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, Rick, what happened to our Syracuse Orangemen last night?
Oh, you just dropped the show down. Rick just went. He's hiding under the counter right now. Not a happy Rick this morning.
That was awful. That game was just awful. I don't know what to say. And to have all those shots at the end. Did you see all those shots at the end?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch the game.
Well, they're down by 3.
He was watching it on his radio.
Down by 3. Travis is funny. Down by 3 with 12 seconds left to go. They had 5 3-point attempts and 2 2-pointers. They got off like 7 shots in 12 seconds. It was awful, and they all missed. So anyway, hey, I got your choice. You want Festival of Speed tickets or Rookies Sports Bar tickets?
Where's Rookies at?
Spring Hill.
Festival of Speed tickets.
All right, I'll send them to you. Got 4 of them coming your way. Rob from Clearwater.
Thank you, Rick. Great show.
All right, thanks. There's Rob from Clearwater, so we'll send those out to him, and we'll go from there. So anyway,
all right, we got to talk.
What are we going to talk about?
Josh McCown. We're going to get to the Bolts probably coming up in a couple minutes here after the break. We're going to talk a little Lightning hockey in a big game tonight at the Forum with Martin Brodeur, possibly been seeing the Forum ice for the last time. But let's talk a little bit about one thing. I know a little bit about Josh McCown. Let's talk a little bit about this guy real quick. Bucks with the big 2-year signing of this guy, $10 million, $5 million for the first year with a possibility of $15 million. Here's some positives and some negatives on Josh McCown. One, didn't turn the ball over. 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. Quality, okay? But he also threw the ball into the other team's hands numerous times, and they dropped the ball, okay? Great team player. He's going to be a great coach for whoever they bring in as a quarterback, or if they just keep Glennon. But has a tendency to throw the ball behind his receivers. Doesn't hit him in stride, limits the yak, which limits the opportunities for first downs. And he got bailed out a lot by his receivers last year with 2 monsters in Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey,
those two are unbelievable. That's probably the best 1-2 tandem in the league today.
Absolutely. And you also had Martellus Bennett at tight end, who opened up a lot of things. Plus, he blew that Minnesota game. Not a lot of people saw the Chicago-Minnesota game. The Bears beat Minnesota in that game, and he had some help from his coach because the coach was a jackass in that game. If the Bears win that game, they go to the playoffs. He took 2 bad sacks on the last drive of the game, really, really hurt the opportunity to win. And everybody knows Bears didn't make the playoffs that year.
I did see that game, actually.
Yeah,
that was the Minnesota came from way from behind.
Yeah, Minnesota.
I was out watching. I was out watching all of them that day. I remember that game.
Yeah, Minnesota comes from behind, and Trustman tries a 42-yard field goal on second down, and it was like one of the biggest debacles in Chicago sports history. Do I like Josh McCown? Yes, but you got to remember, 2 or 3 years ago, he was actually the coach of the high school football team.
Look, not to boo-boo on Travis's stats, but this guy, the only way he was coming to Tampa Bay was if he was told that he was going to start. That's the only way this deal was going to happen.
You think
so?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, then I think that's horrible. Then I think that's horrible.
I mean,
no, absolutely, Justin. You're 100% right.
And I think what you do there is you end up motivating Glennon and saying, "Hey, yeah, we got a starter coming in. This is our new guy."
Now, what if McCown goes to camp in exhibition season and lays an egg?
Well, then that way it's on him.
I think if there's 32 NFL teams, I think maybe 10 of them, half of them should know who their starter is. The rest of them should have an open trial. I think if you're the Oakland Raiders and you're naming a starting quarterback right now, you're an idiot. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you're naming a starting quarterback, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you're naming a starting quarterback, you get my drift? We know Brady's going to start in New England. We know Luck's going to start in Indianapolis. We can go on and on and on. Even if you're the Steelers, I mean, Roethlisberger's at the end of his career. Have somebody go in there and give him a run. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is it's March. It's March. You won 4 games last year, and you're going to name your starter now. Well, I already got a bad taste in my mouth.
Also, Rick, is the fact that, Tedford's coming in. He's going to bring in a new system. Do you want Glennon to learn the new system, or you want a guy that's going to pick it up quickly? He is a very cerebral quarterback. He's going to pick up whatever system that Tedford's going to implement and be able to score some points with this new system that's coming in. I like McCown. I like him as a starter.
To Rick's point, I agree with you. I think it's totally ludicrous to be naming somebody a starter in March, and that's why I can't go on believing that this is the real deal.
Unless you're the Denver Broncos, now you could say Peyton Manning's a starter. I mean, but there's, like I said, half the teams. I'd like to go down the roster and go down, and maybe we'll have that as a show time, because I've always said that. I've always thought teams that name their starter way ahead of time is asking for trouble. And unless you got a clear-cut stud, Brady, Manning, Luck, you know who they are. We know who the names are.
Hey, give us a call, 888-404-1010, 888-404-1010. After the break, we're going to continue Buck Talk. We're going to continue the Bolts. We got the Rocket Report coming up. We got a couple other things that we're going to try to finish up before the end of the show. Rick, what do you got before the break?
That's about it. See you on the other side.
Hi, this is Keith Allen, former voice of ABC News with Peter Jennings. For over a decade, I was the voice of World News Tonight, heard all over the world. Have you ever wondered how to begin a career into the voiceover industry? As a voiceover coach, I can teach you how to deliver ad copy like a pro. My school, 57th Street Media, helps people like yourself find their own voice. To learn more, go to 57thstreetmedia.com. That's 57thstreetmedia.com. Or just give me a call at 813-562-5790.
Florida Hospital North Pinellas reminds listeners the average shelf life of blood is only 42 days. There must be a steady flow of blood donations to meet the continuing needs of accident victims, surgery patients, sick children, and the military. There is no substitute for blood. A shortage at any time could mean unnecessary loss of life. Help save a life. Donate today. This reminder from community leader Florida Hospital North Pinellas. For more information, call 727-942-5000. On the air because they care.
Whether it's a case of simple heartburn or a more serious problem like heart attack or stroke, you want expert emergency care fast. With our network of 5 hospitals, Florida Hospital provides the care you need just when you need it most. From Hillsborough to Pasco to Pinellas and beyond, our powerful combination of medical excellence and genuine compassion is raising the bar for emergency care in Tampa Bay. Visit ertampabay.com to learn more. Florida Hospital, the skill to heal, the spirit to care.
Florida Hospital North Pinellas reminds listeners the average shelf life of blood is only 42 days. There must be a steady flow of blood donations to meet the continuing needs of accident victims, surgery patients, sick children, and the military. There is no substitute for blood. A shortage at any time could mean unnecessary loss of life. Help save a life. Donate today. This reminder from community leader Florida Hospital North Pinellas. For more information, call 727-942-5000. On the air because they care.
Get inside Rookies for awesome wings, burgers, sandwiches, and Boom Boom Shrimp. Rookies has great legs. Every Monday, Rookies has all-you-can-eat crab legs for $25.95. Catch the games on plasma TVs and jumbo screens with speakers at each table. Free Wi-Fi, arcade for the kids, and karaoke Fridays. And now, every Monday, Rookies has all-you-can-eat crab legs for $25.95. Like them on Facebook to see what live bands are playing this weekend at Rookies Sports Bar and Grill. 2 locations on Anderson Snow Road just off Spring Hill Drive. And now on US 19 in Spring Hill across from Best Buy.
We want to hear from you, so log on to our website now at www.rocketsports-ent.com. That's rocketsports-ent.com. Now, back to more Rocket Sports and Entertainment with Rick Sasso.
We are talking Buccaneers football. We're talking Tampa Bay Lightning. We're talking whatever you want to bring to the show. 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010. Wanted to bring up a couple other players that the Buccaneers picked up this week. And a monster pickup, in my opinion. Everybody was talking Peanut Tillman to come in. Charles Tillman. You know, I love this guy. He was Man of the Year. Walter Payton, Man of the Year. An outstanding ball hawking, ball punching. Don't say that all the time. Ball punching type of player that loves it, that brings a ton of turnovers. But he left this Buccaneer organization without a contract. And then the Bucs signed Alteron Werner from Tennessee, who arguably was the top number 1 or 2 cornerback out there in free agency. He's young. He fits perfectly into this system. It's amazing to me. I'm not a huge Buck fan. Everybody who listens to this show knows that I'm not a huge Buck fan. I'm not a hater, but I see things. I like to analyze football, and I like to analyze different teams. And I wasn't a big fan of what this Buccaneer team was doing previous to this year. Am I a huge Lovie Smith supporter? Not much. I lived and died with that guy for many, many years, and I wanted to strangle him numerous times. My nickname for him was Deer in the Headlights Lovie, because when things happened on the field, he just stood there all stoic, didn't make any adjustments. So I want to see this year if Lovie Smith has grown as a head coach.
Here's a question for both of you. Why do we still have Carl Nix?
I don't know.
I mean, we're talking MRSA infections. We're talking
because Nix was a quality player. Nix is a quality offensive lineman. It was their biggest move in the offensive line, obviously, last year in free agency. And so you're going to keep the guy and see if he recovers from the MRSA situation. And if he does, you just shored up another spot in your offensive line. It starts and stops in this league on the lines. Everybody knows that. And Lovie's built the defensive line that he wants. Now they're building the offensive line.
I have one more thing to say about that, and then we'll close down the football. We got to move on. I just, getting back to the quarterback thing, I was just thinking, and I'm going to give some advice to head coaches in the National Football League right now. Okay? If local sports radio is talking about a quarterback controversy at any time, especially during the offseason, don't name a starter. Have an open competition in training camp, best quarterback plays. Because I don't think a team makes the playoffs with a quarterback controversy. Look at the teams, all 12 teams that were in there. I don't even know who they are off the top of my head, but I bet you every one of them had a clear-cut quarterback starter. There was no quarterback controversies. So if you enter the season with a quarterback controversy and you don't iron it out in training camp, you're in trouble. And that's what this Buccaneer team has got to do. I don't think they should name somebody now. I think they should go into July and put it out there for McCown, and Glennon, and see who performs the best and name him the starter.
Did you just say McNown?
McCown.
Nope. We can't be talking about Cade McNown on this team, okay? On this radio
station.
station.
Did I say McNown?
I don't know, man. Everybody gets these guys all confused.
McCown.
Josh, Cade, blah, 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 Luke.
All right, so that's it about football. But you agree with that? Do you see? I mean, you're not good enough, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to name your starting quarterback right now. I'm sorry. You're 4-12 last year. You suck. You changed the regime. Why would he promise? Why would Lovey say, we'll sign you? You're definitely going to be the starter.
Because he could have went to Jacksonville or Houston and became the starter. That's why. He wanted to be a starter.
Then don't do that to your team.
He would have stayed in Chicago to be the backup because he knows Fragile Jay would get hurt.
Don't pigeonhole, then don't sign him. Don't sign him. Why? You have an obligation to your fans to win, put the best product on the field. Why would you say, hey, you want to come and sign this contract? We're willing to give it to you, but it's going to be an open competition in July. If he doesn't want to do that, then don't sign him. Next. Those are the things about team building that professional sports, the losers, the Arizona Cardinals, the Cleveland Browns, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's what they don't do. That's why they lose every year.
Well, Arizona made the playoffs last year, and they were talking to Light yesterday.
Did they? They made the playoffs?
Absolutely. They were talking about Light, and Light was making a big, huge comparison between the Buccaneers and Arizona Cardinals, and he says he's looking at this Buck team like they could be the next Arizona Cardinals and make the playoffs. But
the next Arizona, yeah, that's what I want to be, the ex-Arizona Cardinals. One Super Bowl appearance in their existence. Yeah, that's what I want to be. I want to be the next Pittsburgh Steelers and have rings for the thumb.
Building.
Okay, let's go.
All right, last question. How much money is Josh McCown sending over to Jay Cutler? Because if Jay Cutler doesn't get hurt last year, Josh McCown is probably, packing groceries this year.
Well, you're right, but McCown should be. I don't want to make that mistake again. He should have been the starter last year.
I beg to differ. But he would have been the starter if they thought that.
No, not at the beginning of the season, but after
Jay got hurt?
Yeah.
No way. Absolutely not. No way. His arm strength is lacking. Anyways, we're done with football.
Okay, we're done with football. We're closing the book. The phone lines are still open. I got $25 rookies gift certificate. I want to thank Florida Hospital, North Pinellas, the skill to heal, the spirit to care. Rookies Sports Bar and Grill in Spring Hill, 2 locations, the original at 3095 Anderson Snow Road and Rookies 19 at 1320 Commercial Way. Go to rookiesportsbarfl.com.
Hey, I want to say thanks to Keith Allen at 57th Street Media for hooking up an interview with myself and Eddie Trunk last week. Thanks for recording that. It'll be up on the website real soon at rocketsports-ent.com. We also covered the Harlem Globetrotters last week. That's
a good show, huh?
Nice article.
See, Charlie Belcher, what a job he did. He retweeted that. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Good for Charlie.
It was a great time. And like we talked about last week, some of the organizations around here could definitely take a little bit of a cue from USF and their staff because they put on an outstanding show last week. But check everything else out at rocketsports-ent.com. We got some great spring training coverage. We're global, baby.
Yeah, Eddie Michaels is on the spring training beat. Exclusive photos. There's times where Eddie is the only photographer at some of these games. So get exclusive spring training photos. Rocketsports-ent.com. Follow myself, Rick Sassone, on Twitter, RocketSportsENT. And Travis, you got a Twitter too?
At Travis RSEN. Our Twitter feeds are blowing up. We got some great stuff out there, so follow us. And, it's time to flip the switch to...
Let's talk about the Bolts real quick, and then I want to mention a little something about the Rays, and then we get the Rocket Report. This hour goes so quick. The Bolts. Okay. Talk about free agency. I opened the show up with about free agency and how it's changed the landscape of sports. The one sport that used to be like really, really sacred was hockey. back in the day when we were kids. It was like they stayed with the same team. Free agency and trades. If there was a trade, it was like unbelievable. Free agency was almost non-existent. Now it's like crazy. So we're coming off the Martin St. Louis trade hangover.
And so did the Bolts, obviously,
yeah,
by the way they've been
Stamkos
playing.
scored. But I'll tell you, the defense, I think that the Lightning need to hire Tony Dungy as a defensive consultant because the defense, holy crap, there was a breakdown in the Florida game. Did you see that?
Absolutely, especially at the end of the game. They're winning 5-2, and they gave up 2 goals. In
2 goals in 30 seconds? Or a minute?
2 goals in the last minute and a half or something like that, and made that game a lot closer than it actually was. Granted, I'm happy that Stammer gets on the score sheet, but this team's got some considerable issues and considerable problems. One, Ryan Malone's been scratched. How are you scratching a $6 million player? I mean, if this guy, and I've been banging on this guy for the last, don't want to use that for the soundbite of the day. Giving this guy the business for many weeks now because he's just not producing. $6 million. This has got to be one of the biggest busts in Tampa Bay Lightning history, hands down.
I think that might be Darren Pupa, but it could be arguable.
Pupa was solid in net before he got hurt with the back injury.
Yeah, but they signed him. He had the back injury. He had the back injury when he came over from Pittsburgh, and they signed him $3 million. And I said that was crazy. He's hurt. He played 6 games a year before with Pittsburgh, and then when he came over, I believe he was with Pittsburgh.
But he was the backbone of taking this team and getting to the playoffs against Philly.
Yes. Was he with Pittsburgh before?
Hashtag damaged goods.
There you go.
Boom, shakalaka.
There you go.
That's twice.
Damaged goods. Hashtag damaged goods. Get you a 4-12 football season. Okay, so now. Always get that in there, don't I? So look at the standings. Talk about a logjam. Now, Lightning be in. They're in 3rd place in the Atlantic Division, but Montreal, Mount Royal, 77 points. They got the same amount of points. Lightning have the tiebreaker. Montreal is in the wild card with Philadelphia snuck in.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, there's 5 teams separated by, or 7 teams separated by 5 points. So it's this home stretch. It's going to be crazy. So get out there and support your Lightning at the Tampa Bay Times Forum and bring your checkbook because it's expensive.
Yeah, so we're real short on time. I want to talk about the Rays really, really quick. They're 8-4, almost midway through the spring season. And you know me, I don't pay attention to wins and losses, but how the team's executing. And I like the way this team, I see a sense of urgency at the dish. I like the way they're hitting the ball early. Limited at-bats because it is spring, but you got half the roster is almost half the roster is batting over 300 in the early spring. I think that's really good. Notables that are struggling are Matt Joyce, Sean Rodriguez, and Will Myers are really struggling at the dish early. But spring training is a time you should rip the cover off the ball like a slow-pitch softball because the pitching isn't there yet.
Absolutely.
Would you agree, Justin?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got to take that time to develop your swing, make sure everything's going off, knock the rust off your game, and get out there.
Yeah,
well, this team is going. They're going to need Will Myers to really play well in his sophomore season here. I mean, I'll give her a sophomore season. Hopefully, it won't go through a sophomore slump because they're going to need this guy. This guy's going to. They don't have a lot of huge power on this team, Rick. And if you're going to compete with some of the other monster teams, and not only in the AL East, but all in the total AL, you're going to need guys that are going to be able to hit the ball out of the field out of the park on a consistent basis. Well,
Okay, well, might as well get to it. It's got to be about that time. We got to get to it. The show's almost over, right?
It's about that time.
First of all, I have to go to my executive producer and co-host for this question. This Ryan Braun guy, is he really full of himself? Did he actually say some of these things that he said?
Ryan Braun, in my opinion, is one of the biggest jackasses in all of professional sports. You threw the FedEx guy under the bus. And then you admit to doing steroids and PEDs, and now you're basically blaming it on the media and blaming it on the fans for continuing to bring up that you're a liar and a cheat. Seriously?
Why does he just keep to himself? He said he's one of the best players in the game. One of the league leaders in confidence.
Him and Ferreira should get automatic back patters because they like to talk about how right they are.
People love negativity, so there's so many stories out there. Oh, he says that people focus on the negative because a lot of people aren't happy in life. Sounds like maybe he's not happy. But, I did drag up something, and we should have known Ryan Braun. Not that I'm knocking him for this. I'm knocking him for saying it. Do you know he went to the University of Miami?
Oh.
And he had offers from Stanford and Cal Berkeley because he's a kid from out west. He's a California kid. And you know why he chose Miami? He said, quote, and I'm quoting this from Wikipedia. That's where I'm taking the quote. I think the girls were the deal closer on the recruiting trip.
Yes.
Really? Now, that's cool as a guy, but I don't think it's something you should tell everybody.
What, they don't have, excuse the term, hot ass out in California? You have to go down to Miami for that?
That's true. And academically, Stanford, Berkeley, so I don't know. That's all I'm saying. So
that's
then
where
and there,
Bosch is too. Anthony Bosch is right down in the Miami
so
area
right
also.
then and there, I probably would have dropped them down my draft list.
No way, he's going up on mine.
But the Milwaukee Brewers, how they doing? When's the last time they made the playoffs? So there you go, same teams. Oh, Yankees will be in the running. The Red Sox will be in the running. The Rays will be in the running. The same teams every year.
Well, I don't hear the anybody saying that the Milwaukee Brewers will be in the running for anything.
That's what I'm talking about in professional sports. It just cracks me up. If I had a team that consistently everybody knew we weren't going to, like the Cleveland Browns, but there's no way in heck the Cleveland Browns are going to make the playoffs. We all know that. We've said that for the last 20 years, right? I mean, wouldn't you do something different?
You think you would?
Yeah. Would you to talk about the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over, expecting a different result. The Cleveland Browns, you keep doing the same thing over, you expect a different result. The Milwaukee Brewers, you keep doing the same thing over. Get guys like Braun, who got roided up, and now he's blaming the public. People unhappy in their lives. That's crazy.
Have the Browns told anybody about all the hot chicks they have there? Maybe they should try that.
I don't know about that.
Oh, wow.
In Cleveland?
In the armpit of America.
What was that comedian? One of my favorite comedian sound bites, and I think it was for a vodka commercial, was that Yakov Smirnoff guy, or the Russian comedian, when he said, in Russia, here in the United States, everybody makes fun of one city, Cleveland. In Russia, we have one city we all make fun of too, Cleveland. So, and that always cracks me. So every time I hear Cleveland come up, real quick, promised Tampa Catholic accrues of recruiting violations. The reason why this touches home to me, we are the voice of the Spongers. We did the Tarpon Springs. Tarpon Springs played them. Did they get that win back if they're found guilty, Travis?
They should give all their wins back, because this is an epidemic in high school football, and they don't learn from other teams. I mean, look what happened to Armwood, and now Tampa Catholic's going into recruiting violations up and down, recruiting these kids from different communities. I just can't believe it, Rick. I mean, I'm learning more and more about high school football and what's going on, and it just, I shake my head because of all the discrepancies.
No, that's it. Getting ready to head out to Lakeland, Florida Southern. The St. Leo Lions in the NCAA Division II tournament starts today in Lakeland. Be heading out there. Tip off at 2:30, hosting the West Alabama Tigers. And that's about it I got for today. Great show, Travis. Thanks for getting me through with these allergies.
Absolutely. Check out rocketsports-ent.com for all your sports and entertainment coverage.
Here is Downtown Dave for the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, Tampa Bay, did you know you can have a 1-hour program on the Tan Talk Radio Network for less than the cost of